There's a big problem in my industry, and it's causing house flippers and real estate investors to go bankrupt at worst and causing gentrification at best. And it's all because of this. You see, house flipping is a great way to create housing for people while also making good money, but it's not always the most exciting thing to make media about. And that's why HGTV has always found ways to spice things up. They got shows about tearing down families' homes and then building them some crazy custom home in under 7 days, to shows about unsellable houses, extremely cheap houses, houses built in just 100 days. Yeah, you see how all their shows have something special about them that makes them interesting? And that's how this strategy works. I mean, when I watch Flip or Flop and they take a house that's in bad shape and then they turn it into a quite decadent abode, all while making massive profits, well, yeah, I'm pretty entertained. But you see, that's the problem. I think many viewers of these shows don't realize that it is precisely what makes these shows entertaining that also makes their strategies for flipping and investing risky and actually problematic in practice. I've even personally watched many novice flippers be influenced by what they're seeing on TV and end up broke with failing properties because they'd been learning the bad strategies this whole time. Let me explain. So let's take this neighborhood as an example. Now this is our scale of livability. Now you have bombed out houses. These are ones that are gonna sell for $50,000 to $100,000. And then you pass the line of livable into barely bankable. Now these houses sell for $200,000 to $250,000. And then you have your range of comps. Now these are the houses that you would buy to live in. This is when your real estate agent runs comps on a house. That's the premium houses that we're talking about. And they sell for $300,000, maybe $350,000, maybe even $400,000 or beyond. All right, so let's say I'm working for HGTV, doing a renovation in this neighborhood. Well, I want this project to be done fast because we have a lot of episodes to film. So I'm gonna take a house that's already in pretty good shape. This way I can avoid any of the time-consuming problems that comes with a bombed out house. Okay, so I buy this house for around $230,000. And I gotta make this show entertaining. So I open up some walls, maybe I remove some of them completely. After all, if I fixed only what was needed, who's gonna watch this show? I mean, look at those cabinets. They look a little old. Let's throw them out and start completely over. What about the bathroom? Looks a little eh. So let's have a design challenge and see whose bathroom is actually the best. And yeah, that did happen. In the end, I ended up spending 6 figures on a renovation. And now I need to push the price of this house far beyond the range of comps. Maybe into the mid 400s, maybe even 500 to make my numbers work. Well, the house isn't gonna sell for that, right? But remember, I'm on HGTV, so somebody will come pick up that house for way too much money. But the same thing doesn't work for you as a real estate investor. And do you see what they just did? They sold that house for more than the range of comps. Now the next person's gonna come in and try to sell it for a little bit more. And then the next person, a little bit more. And before you know it, the people that live in that neighborhood, well, their property taxes go up. And now they can't afford to live in that neighborhood anymore. And that's how a neighborhood gets gentrified. But that's only if they can sell it for a little bit more, because we're not all HGTV. Here's what usually happens when you try to be a flipper like HGTV and you don't have the HGTV brand to help you oversell that house. This actually got me early in my career. I was having successes as a flipper and I kept doing bigger and bigger projects until I finally did Pontiac Street, which is the one that I lost way too much money on. And here's how it broke down on the scale of livability. Now I actually bought this house as a barely bankable property, and my goal was to add square footage to it to be able to sell it for more. And the neighborhood comps told me that I'd be able to sell that house for around $800,000, maybe a little bit less. But during the project, we actually decided to add on even more square footage. And if you sold the house per square foot, adding that square footage was gonna help it sell for deep into the 800s. But here's how it actually broke down. By the time I went to sell it, the market had squeezed. So now instead of the range of comps being all the way over there, it was a little bit further to the left. But I spent a lot more money on the construction. So when I went to sell this house all the way over here at $850,000, the market ended up giving me more like $650K for that house. But I had overspent on the renovation. And to top it all off, while I was doing that project, I had run out of money completely. So I had to do the rest of the project with my own two hands after letting all the subcontractors go. And during the time, I got to think about all the dumb mistakes I made on that project and how I thought I was HGTV, but I really wasn't. And at that same time, right across the street, this guy named Glenn bought the property at a discount, and he went and he did all of the work on the house. But he didn't do the type of work that I did on the house. He didn't even do exterior paint. He went in, he polished up the floors a little bit, put in some new cabinets, some new countertops. He made the bathrooms a little bit nicer. He even kept the carpet that was in the bedrooms. Now this guy, just like 90 days later, sells this house for a huge profit. He makes close to 6 figures on this flip while I'm laboring away across the street. And that's when I realized that Glenn's model was actually the beginnings of the pro flipping model. Before I show you how to become a pro flipper, you really need to understand the difference between HGTV and what a pro flipper does. So HGTV is all about being emotional. Just like American Idol. You're not gonna win that show unless you have a terrible story to tell at the beginning. And that's how they're searching for their houses. Whereas a pro, they're rational about the choices that they make. They're rational about the houses they choose. They choose houses that are in neighborhoods where they know what they're gonna sell for and they know what they're getting into. They don't give a crap about the story. Next, HGTV is design focused. They have competitions about whose design is better in each bathroom. Well, a pro flipper is focused on consistency. Gray floors, white walls, every single time. HGTV, they're focused on price pushing. All the houses are selling for $500,000. Let's try to get 6. The pro flipper, all the houses are selling for 5. Let's see if we can sell it for $499. Oh, we're price centering. We're gonna take the stuff that has been sold and not try to push the price to something new. We're gonna know what they sold for and try to sell our house right in the center. HGTV, swinging for home runs, big beautiful houses that they can add to their portfolio and they can show everybody. Whereas a pro flipper, we're using Moneyball rules. Anything it takes to get on base. Base hits win ball games. Gray floors, white walls, every single time. I don't care if it looks sexy. I just care that it's profitable. Now this one is huge, guys. And this is one that you really need to burn into your memory. HGTV is paid by their media company. They make money because you watch them on TV. A flipper needs to make their money in reality. And 2 more points about HGTV. One is they're very drama centric. They're, oh, I didn't see that the roof was leaking and it caused all this damage. And they do that to create drama to get you to watch past the commercial. Whereas in real life, you need to know everything about that house before you purchase it. Your inspection process has to be in depth to make sure that you know how much money you need and don't get surprised during the project. And next is what HGTV does is speculative. Speculative? What HGTV does is speculation. And that means that you hope that it sells for $600,000 when it gets done, but the market hasn't shown you that it would do that. Whereas flippers know what things will sell for. Remember, right in the center or even the low end of the range of comps. Let's focus on the 4 things that you need to focus on to become a pro flipper. And this is actually what we call our all-weather approach to focusing our bandwidth. Number 1, you need to find better deals. And this means that you're probably not gonna buy houses like other people do, which is on the market, on the MLS or on Zillow. You're gonna need to go out and find deals either through wholesalers or other ways off market, usually through your own marketing, where you're going direct to sellers. And that's how you find deals, by cutting out all the other people that need paid on a normal deal. 2, you need to level up the vendors that you're working with constantly. Now, when I say vendors, I mean all of them, but specifically the wholesalers that you buy houses from and the contractors that you hire to rehab those houses. In my career, I've gone through all different levels of vendors that I work with, all the way from drug addicts.
Maybe not that.
From the crazy ones who have stolen stuff off of my job sites, all the way to the really high-end ones that made it just not make financial sense on a project. And you gotta find the ones that work for you and constantly be looking to refill your depth chart of vendors with better ones. Next, you need to become a phenomenal project manager. You need to become organized. You need to know the next steps for every project that you're on. And most importantly, you need to know how to have a hard conversation. You need to know how to set very clear expectations for anybody you have on your job site, and then have what it takes to hold accountability to that which you know you clearly explained. And number 4, arguably the most important, is having smart scopes of work. That means setting a strategy for your rehab that is not like they do it on HGTV. Making sure that you're doing the things that bring you clearly into the range of comps, but not way over. You're doing what you need to do, not what you want to do. You're not a hobbyist who is doing a different creative pattern for every room of the house. You're a professional, and professionals are out there to become profitable. That doesn't mean cut corners. That means to be smart about your scopes of work. Now, am I saying that as a house flipper, those are the only 4 things that you need to do? No, not at all. There is definitely a lot more, and I know especially as you're getting started out as a house flipper, it seems like there's all these things to do and it's a hectic world, but when I'm in times of confusion, I always come back to these 4 things. And truly, those 4 things are the things that I have the toughest time hiring out to other people. All the other noise out there, that's what you hire contractors for, other vendors for, or employees. But these 4 items of the all-weather approach, I keep very near and dear to my daily activities. Now, one more thing, whether you know it or you don't know it, communities love house flippers for 3 main reasons. One is vacant houses equal crimes. I have purchased houses and I own houses that have sat vacant for too long, and you'll never believe the stuff that you find in those houses. Used up needles. I found all kinds of weird parties that have happened in those houses. Broken windows, human fecal matter in the middle of a living room. Yeah, that actually happened. Number 2, liquefy bad assets. To a lot of people, a broken down house is valueless, but to a flipper, it's their business, it's their livelihood, and they're willing to take the risk with their own cash and then put even more cash in to make it nice again. And that is a way for normal people to liquefy bad assets. And number 3, good jobs for good people. There are a lot of hardworking blue-collar folks out there, and you're able to give them a great job. Now listen, I know it's really fun to watch HGTV. It's full of drama, but it is not the way the real world works. And I almost went out of business, and I've watched other people go out of business thinking that that is reality. But the reality is you need to become a pro flipper and make smart decisions about the work that you do on houses and how you approach the market. Now, hopefully you got something out of this video, and if you want to learn more about how to be a successful house flipper and real estate investor, check out more of our stuff.